Carl Coulanges for the Sports Hit List, by the fans and for the fans. I have a very special guest today. They call him Coach A.J. He's a virtual training coach. He's also assistant coach for football at Nassau County Community College. Coach, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Carl. Thanks for having me, man. My pleasure. First and foremost, I am an assistant coach at Nassau Community College. I coach the defensive backs there, the free safeties to be exact. I do have a virtual training program, but primarily I am a sports performance specialist where I train athletes from various sports of all ages, from youth to pro, working on imbalances, correcting them, their dynamic functioning, speed, agility, explosiveness, and so forth.
So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. So you're a virtual training coach. So how does that work?
So I began my virtual training program, I want to say 4.5 years ago. Well, even longer than that, where we used to use Skype more. And with Skype, it got really redundant for myself in the early years when virtual training started really making a breakthrough back in I want to say 2011, 2012. And to come home from a long day of training several people in person, then to sit down in your living room and then have to get live with someone, and sometimes they don't show up, it got kind of tired for me. So I was like, I'm going to step away from this and watch how the industry shifts with the virtual training and see what comes out in terms of databases that's going to be more user-friendly for myself, the professional. As I sat back and I watched several people create different apps, tested a lot of people's apps out, I saw a lot of things that were missing that I personally would need in order to function as a virtual trainer myself. And by doing so, I did a lot of research, tested out a lot of different programs, whether it was created by someone or a company. And by the time I got to my program, I just hit the ground running because it went from a 25-minute call that was supposed to be into an hour call because I was just so amazed by what they had. And from there, it really just allowed the flexibility to not have to train so many people in person and also focus on the athletes, because that's my pride and joy right there. I really focus on the athletes because I know the northern kids, the northeast athletes, they're lacking a lot of different things that the southern kids, the west coast and midwest athletes have. So for myself, I had lived in Miami for nearly 7 years. I played arena football down there, and I saw a different exposure of athleticism, and I was able to keep up. But I saw what I had done for so long, and, this goes back to Little League in New York. The only thing I wanted for Christmas was to go away to camp. I never wanted anything else. I didn't want toys. I didn't want anything else. Newspaper came out. I said, Mom, it's out. I just want to go to this camp in the summer. And that was it. That was the only thing I wanted. And I got exposed very early, luckily, to kids that were out of state, from Georgia, Texas. And I was like, wow, I was just amazed. And it made me fall in love with the football even more growing up. Mm-hmm. Even in high school, our coach at the time, Tom Pugh, he had a night camp in Connecticut. Nights camp was for primarily Holy Cross kids and other surrounding schools in New York. I never went to one night camp, not one night camp. When they went to night camp, I'd go away again, because I just wanted that exposure to really be against some top level competition, to really make sure I can compete. And that's what I brought back to the athletes here in the virtual training. Again, it allows me, like for adults like yourself, married couples, kids, crazy schedules. It's hard to schedule with a fitness professional, the days, the times, to consistently be on it. With the virtual training program, I'm able to create your meal plan, your workout to your capabilities. If you have weights, if you don't have weights, if you have resistance bands, if you're just looking for mobility, so many things I can do with it, and you can do it at your leisure, and we have the check-ins every week. If you have questions, it's 24-hour support, so it's ongoing, and people see tremendous results because now you're being held accountable because you made this investment into yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's less expensive in the pockets of people too. So that's a win-win across the board.
So what year did you start doing your virtual training sessions?
Late 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
And given our time now, I'm sure you've seen, and people are, and personally for myself right now, just with no gym, I go to the track and try to work out there. But for yourself, I'm sure your numbers have risen because people are itching to go to the gym. A good friend of mine, he drives to Connecticut right
Wow.
now at this point and now, because he's a gym. He loves going to the gym.
Hmm.
And he told me, he's like, listen, Carl, I have to go to the gym. So how have your numbers from within 5 years now, you see with there are no gyms actively, I guess, in New York, how have they spiked up from that?
Well, I'll say that within what we've been indoors now 4 months, give or take.
4 months, yeah, since March 11th.
Um, when I started 5 years ago, I knew this industry was gonna shift. Excuse me, eventually, right? Technology just takes over and takes a big precedence over things. So I wanted to position myself very early, along with some colleagues I have as well, because we all talked about it. I have a lot of friends on the West Coast. Oh, excuse me, damn.
It's all good. Superman fan.
Yeah. So I had sat down with some of my colleagues on the West Coast, and California is huge in fitness. And a couple of them were like, yo, dude, you should look into the virtual training. They started doing it. They had different systems that they had in place that was working for them. Not everybody's going to be able to use the same system. So I did a whole beta testing for maybe 2.5 years where my prices were very, very low, just to really get accustomed to being that professional and being in contact with the clients and having it easy scale price-wise so they can afford it, knowing the platform was already worth more for what I was offering. But I was like, eventually I'm gonna level that up to where my value is there because of experience, but to have that there. Right now the numbers have gone up, like you said, because of the situation that we are in now.
Mm-hmm.
And just because also the cost of it. Training in person, on average, you're looking at paying $500 to maybe $1,500 a month, depending on the expertise of the person, what services you're actually getting from them, because it could be a multiple of services you're getting, and that becomes, costly monthly too. Versus the virtual training, you're looking at paying anywhere from, depending on the program the person's offering, it could be $300 to $1,000, but that's for like 3 months or 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes more sense financially for an individual as well, because you're getting more bang for your buck in the long run. And typically that actually allows people to renew because they're not spending that big bulk every single month now.
Mm-hmm. You're based out of New York, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so talk about because you are virtual, are you getting most of your clientele from New York? Are you getting it from the other major cities, like you said, California? Is it Florida? Where is your most clientele in terms of virtual training? Is it here in home, or would you say it's somewhere else?
It's across the country.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking to someone yesterday. They were in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I get people who contact me from the UK. The industry is so huge that you don't know who you're going to come across.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of fitness professionals in the industry. However, there aren't a lot of quality fitness professionals in the industry. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of fly-by-night professionals, like I call them, because they saw their friends that were very successful doing it, but they don't realize the amount of work their friend was doing behind it to be that successful. So they think, oh, I can make my own schedule too. Let me get on this and be a trainer. No, there's way more to this. Just in general, leaving a 9 to 5 and doing your own business, it doesn't go 9 to 5 no more. Now you're 24/7. Mm-hmm. So for a lot of people don't understand, the amount of work it really takes. You're talking about when you have anywhere from 25 to 100 clients online and you're doing check-ins and you have to update their programs and create programs and talk to them and make sure things are going accordingly. It's a lot of work. But you have to have a system in place that makes it very smooth for you to operate.
Mm. Now, you talked about dealing with students and training students who are, I guess, student athletes who are getting to that collegiate level. Talk a little bit more about that. Is it more so football? Is it all sports? And how do you work with the athletes to get them to that next level?
It's all sports. I've been blessed to be around a lot of athletes way before I got into coaching. I used to do a lot of volunteer coaching. When I was in high school, I would volunteer for the Little League. When I got to college, I'd volunteer for the Little League and some high school. After college, I'd volunteer some more, meeting more people. And then finally I was like, all right, let me start coaching, and I guess get compensated for it. But for me, it wasn't the compensation that enticed me. I was like, well, I've been doing this for a while now and I have a different angle at it. And I didn't want to be that super young coach neither. Like, you'll see some guys come back and coach right after high school. You get out of high school, you don't have that much experience to coach another high school athlete. So for me, I train all athletes of all sports. And prior to really getting into coaching at the high school level or even at Nassau, I partnered up with a couple of coaches that I know outside of New York, from Miami, California, and they started their own companies where they help kids get recruited. So we're literally, they were now able to tap into my market of New York athletes that were really good and help them get exposure. It started with football. Then I created contacts with soccer, then basketball. And they're like, hey, send this kid to me. He could come to this camp for free, whatever, so we could get some exposure and eyes on him or her. So that really transformed, where now I'm not only getting you prepared physically and mentally, but now you're getting the academic part, you're taking care of it as well, and you're getting an opportunity to go to college for free. Athletes are all face-to-face. During this time, of course, we had to adapt a little bit, which was an easy transition. They're the only ones that I literally trained live on Zoom, because I like to see where they're messing up so I could correct them accordingly. And it keeps that relationship going the same way. Recently we started going back outside. We're still virtual half the week, and then twice out of the week we're outside. Where we're hitting the hills, we're hitting the beach on Sunday mornings, because that's our ritual. For 4.5 years, we've been going to the beach every Sunday morning.
What's clearly we know the major difference is, as opposed to a screen and you're not face to face in that person. Do you find that people train better using the virtual system, or do they still lean more towards a better training regimen when you're in person with them?
The only thing that's going to be missing is the will and the want. And the person training you.
Okay.
Whether or not if you really, really are serious about whatever you're trying to do, whether you're an athlete or non-athlete, you're going to get pushed, and you're going to allow yourself to be pushed. So you have to have the right person, to motivate you, not condescendingly, but to uplift you, and that's how it works. Because we all get pushed back. I get pushed back sometimes. Oh, I need somebody in person, and I'm like, that's what you think. It boils down to, do you really want to get in shape? Do you really want to get healthy? If you're going to make that excuse, I need some, especially right now. Right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm waiting to go back to the gym. No, you're not going back to the gym anytime soon. Sorry to burst your bubble. And a lot of people don't even have the structure. They don't know exactly how to do it, when to do it, and so forth. So why not leave all the guessing work to someone else and you just execute? So that's where I come in a lot, and I've had people during the pandemic asking me like, yo man, where you hiding all these weights? How you looking like this during the pandemic? I'm like, nah, I just know what I'm doing. And I have but so much weight that I need, I have up to 50 pounds, and that's all I need. But I have a ton of resistance, and I do a ton of calisthenics still.
When it comes to staying in shape, a lot of people say that there's I don't know if it's a myth or you can call it true or not, is that eating plays 80% and the working out is 20. Could you basically explain to the viewers what's the percentages in what you eat and how you keep your body and how you stay in shape when physically doing workouts?
It used to be 80%, the eating. I feel it's more 90%.
Wow.
I think it's that high, because eating is the hard part.
Oh, you telling me, man. Listen, being home for 4 months.
That's the hard part, because you have to shop for that kind of food, right? And years ago, there were no deals on healthy food, and that type of food was super expensive and you couldn't find it. Then a Trader Joe's came out, 10, 12 years ago. They helped, mitigate that a little bit. Then Whole Foods adjusted their pricing just a little bit as well. Then you had a lot more fresh farm foods, grocery stores opening up. So that helped. But now you have to prepare the food. People don't like to meal prep like that, because that takes time. So what's easier? Let me just buy some unhealthy stuff, and that's easier to cook anyway. Or let me just buy it from the store. It's already made with a whole bunch of additives to it that's not good for you. So eating takes a lot of discipline, a lot of consistency. But once you get that dialed in, it's like clockwork. It's like brushing your teeth. It becomes habitual, And then you add the workouts, and it's 10%. Abs are made in the kitchen. I'm sure you've heard that quote or you've seen it. Abs are made in the kitchen, because what you feed your body internally is going to reflect externally. So you're working out. Why am I not getting in better shape? Well, you can't work out for an hour and a half every day and then eat pizza every single day and eat donuts every night, and drink soda. That's not going to
Portion
work.
control too. Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. We are human beings. Like, I love pizza, I love ice cream, and I love chips, 1,000%. However, 95% of the time, I'm not eating that. I'm eating my spinach, my asparagus, my ground turkey, sweet potatoes. I'll have jasmine white rice, a sizable portion. I'll have whole wheat wraps. I have almond butter. I eat almonds, like stuff like that. So that's 95% of my eating. The balance is there. However, I'm human though. If I want Oreo cookies, I'm gonna have a damn Oreo.
Right.
So the whole thing for me, when I see certain professionals like, I don't ever eat bad at all, you're lying. You do. Because first of all, your body's gonna crave it. Your body's naturally gonna crave the bad fat. So at some point, you're gonna have to fuel it. And what it does, it helps you regenerate and you get more energy to dish out more when you work out.
What would you say is the timeline, I guess, for someone to get in shape and get into good shape? Could it happen in a month? Could it happen in 2 months? Do you ever put a timeline on what it takes to get in shape? Or
for decades, they've shown and seen that typically it takes 3 months to really, really get some real good results. However, the way programming has changed and the more understanding and studies and applications have been applied by different professionals, if you do it correctly and you apply the eating and the certain exercises, the combination of the two, and specific exercises at that, from the rep range to the load, you're gonna get results in 3 to 4 weeks. Not saying if you're looking to drop 30 pounds in 4 weeks, it's gonna happen. No. However, you will, and you can drop 3 to 4 pounds per week and drop 15 pounds in a month. That is very feasible, and in a healthy way at that. So I typically tell people like, hey, like I had a guy, because I was in the military, he's a first sergeant. We spoke on Friday, and for his goals, a 4-week program wasn't going to cut it because he wants to drop like 30 to 35 pounds. And I was like, all right, well, 4 weeks is not going to do it, obviously, nor is an 8-week program. Why? Because the first 4 weeks of your program, your body has to acclimate to everything, from the eating to the exercise that we're going to do. Second month, now your wheels are turning. You're like, okay, I see what's happening. You're shocking me. We're doing things. Okay, I'm getting used to the food. Third month, now you're really rolling. By the fourth month, now you're really in a groove where now you're really dicing out all the pieces that you've been putting together. But you've already dropped at least, that first month, you're probably going to drop 10 to 15 pounds the next month as well. So that already puts you well halfway towards your goal. So it's a building process.
And my final question for you is, out of all the sports to train, which one is the most difficult, you'd say?
The most difficult? I thought you were going to say my favorite. I was going
to No. Well, I kind of know what your favorite is. Okay. I want to say football, right? Football is your favorite because you played. So football's got to be your favorite. But
it is.
Yeah. But what would you say is the most difficult athlete to train? Is it a basketball player, baseball player, football player, or any other sport?
I would say,
Tough question.
It is. Reason being, the very first athlete I ever trained was a golfer.
Wow. Okay. That's different. That's totally different. That's out of left field. I didn't see that one.
Exactly. So, but it was great. I took the opportunity because I was just getting in the mix.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, this is amazing. Let me learn, so it forced me not to box myself in, because I grew up, I played soccer, then I added football, then I added basketball, then I added track. I did baseball for fun. I did roller hockey. I was very versatile, but I stuck with football and track throughout college. I chose not to play basketball in college. And I said, okay, I need to understand all the dynamics. So it was a golfer. Then I had a tennis player. I've had swimmers, and it's a matter of knowing the right movements that's going to help those muscles build up for the endurance of what they're going to do. So for a swimmer, they need their core to be super strong. Their back muscles need to be super strong, as do their legs, because their legs need to really dice through the water, and their shoulders need to be strong to keep going through.
So you're going with swimming?
I would say swimmers, man. But my swimmers have succeeded. Like I had a swimmer 2 years ago, and he could never like really get past his hump. And then he like that year he was breaking records and setting records in 100 meter, 200 meter. His dad was just amazed. Meanwhile, I didn't train him with a pool.
Wow.
I didn't use a pool. If I had a pool,
what would you use? What's the secret? Or if you don't want to tell me, it's okay. It's all right. I completely understand if you don't.
Oh man, you know, it's really just at first he wasn't even sure Noah was his father because I had him in the mix with different athletes. You know, because I mix my athletes up. At the end of the day, a sports performance specialist or trainer is going to be able to train multiple athletes of multiple sports because they all need to move and be agile, need to be explosive, need to be fast, need muscular endurance. However, there are cases where I'll separate certain sports at certain times of the year, you know, because you have to work in phases when you're training athletes. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, where you go through certain things in one phase, the next and the next. So usually by phase 3 is when you're like at top speed. Now it's all speed work. So they all can blend in together. But prior to that, you want to really put them accordingly. And he wasn't sure. And he was a tall kid, tall like me, 6'2", 6'3". And the dad was like, man, how's this happening? And I was just pointing him out. And then even his swim coach was like, wow, your back is super strong. Your shoulders are really, you know, you have the endurance now. You know, his lung capacity was through the roof, you know. And I have my athletes train with a training mask, you know, high altitude training. So when that mask is off and they're in their sport, they're like, oh, man, this is a piece of cake now.
Yeah, easy for them.
Yeah.
So give the fans your information. So if anyone wants to call you for a virtual training session or a personal session, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Coach A.J USA. You can also email me directly, coachajUSA@getrightorgetleft.com. Also my other Facebook page, Coach A.J USA 88, you know, for direct contact. Where else? I'm on LinkedIn, Coach A.J USA. You know, so I'm all over the place.
Well, definitely thank you for coming on the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans. Please make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to all our content. I had a conversation with you prior and you told me you're a Lakers fan. So this is really hard for me to do this interview knowing that I'm a Celtics fan, but I respect it and definitely good luck to you. And our fans will definitely be seeing this interview for sure.
Thank you.